Here's an inside look at the news inside the news with Clarence.
After the first presidential debate, the president received some harsh criticism from supporters and haters alike. So we decided to put together a few possible alternatives to some of Mr. Romney's statements. This is what the president could have said.
What are the differences between the two of you as to how you would go about tackling the deficit problem in this country?
I'm going to stop the subsidy to PBS. I'm going to stop other things. I like PBS. I love Big Bird. I actually like you, too.
So you want to fire Big Bird? Really? And how much would that take off the federal deficit?
Obamacare's on my list. I would like to take the Medicaid dollars that go to states and say to a state, you're going to get what you got last year, plus inflation, plus 1%, and then you're going to manage your care for your poor in the way you think best. Let states do this. And by the way, if a state gets in trouble, well, we could step in and see if we can find a way to help them.
Man, quit playing. As soon as the states get their hands on that money, it'll be reallocated to everything but Medicaid, which gives the taxpayer the added expense of having to spend money they've already spent, then having the government turn around and, as you say, step in and help out that same state.
I want to bring down rates. I want to bring the rates down, at the same time lower deductions and exemptions and credits and so forth, so we keep getting the revenue we need. And you think, well, then why lower the rates? And the reason is because small business pays that individual rate. 54% of America's workers work in businesses that are taxed not at the corporate tax rate, but at the individual tax rate.
There you go again. I know how you hate the S word, but you never specify how you'll lower taxes and which tax credits and deductions you'll eliminate. Now, will it be the homeowner's deduction, or will you no longer be able to claim your spouse as a dependent? Now, you've hypothetically added all these jobs, but with the other hand, you take it away by closing off the tax credits. This burden falls squarely on the consumer, on the taxpayer, and you still haven't reduced the federal deficit.
I saw a study that came out today that said you're going to raise taxes by $3,000 to $4,000 on middle-income families. What we do have right now is a setting where I'd like to bring money from overseas back to this country.
Would that include some of your offshore accounts? Right now, you can get a tax break for moving a production plant to China.
You said you get a deduction for taking a plant overseas? Look, I've been in business for 25 years. I have no idea what you're talking about. I maybe need to get a new accountant.
Oh, no, Mr. Romney. You pay a lower tax rate than anyone in this room. Your accountant is doing a fine job by you.
That brings us to closing statements. Governor Romney, your 2-minute closing.
I think it's not just an economic issue. I think it's a moral issue. I think it's frankly not moral for my generation to keep spending massively more than we take in, knowing those burdens are going to be passed on to the next generation.
Mr. Romney is absolutely right. There is a moral imperative.
47% of Americans pay no income tax. So our message of low taxes doesn't connect. And he'll be out there talking about tax cuts for the rich. I mean, that's what they sell every 4 years.
Now, Governor Romney has since apologized for those statements, but they are no less immoral. 47% of the American public being referred to as those people who don't want to take responsibility for their own lives and won't vote for him anyway. Well, I can't take 47% of the American public for granted. The job of president is to serve all of the people, regardless of their social station or their political affiliation. That's the job. The God under whom this nation stands created the model for No Child Left Behind. And we are all God's children. I'm talking about the United States of America. And working together, we can do great things. We can do greater things than we could ever think or imagine, according to that power which is at work in us. Thank you. Now, these are just suggestions. Oh, by the way, Joe Biden, good job the other night. Now, the reason we're talking about this now is because the time is now. We have no tomorrow. Everybody has to get up, get out, and get to work. We've got to do what we've got to do. We have to volunteer, make calls, give rides, go down and register people to vote, do whatever needs to be done. We cannot leave the president hanging. The lives, the quality of life of future generations depend on it. So please, do what you can, do what we have to do together as we take an inside look at the news inside the news.